So, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name's Darren Tribizzle Moore. I am the general manager here at Susquehanna Esports. Our professional team is the Sonics, competing in both Rainbow Six Pro League and PUBG Pro League right now. I decided that we were going to release a podcast. It's not quite ready yet. We will be calling it Esports After Dark, so make sure you stay tuned on updates about that. The reason we're making this short video today is we wanted to address some of the issues that pop up in esports a lot. A lot of people reach out to me. I don't know, some of you watching this may have spoken to me also about problems in esports with players being taken advantage of and being locked into bad contracts and given no way out. I'm going to talk about my experience today. I'm not going to name any names or start a witch on here, because obviously everything is alleged. All this evidence is alleged until proven otherwise. But from what I've seen, I just wanted to bring this to light. If we can help even a few people in the scene, then it's worth it. That being said, the gaming company involved and the game involved are fantastic. One of the games I'm going to be talking about today is PUBG. OGN and the PUBG staff are fantastic. I think what they have done in such a short amount of time is incredible. OGN definitely look after the players, especially when we're out there in California. The hotel that's provided, the transport, everything is fantastic. I just wanted to bring up that some orgs are taking advantage of this, and I don't think it should be allowed. I think it puts everything in a bad taste of esports, and it may scare away people, and young players and even investors. That people hear horror stories of people being mistreated. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that today and a few experiences that have been brought to my attention and address them. So myself, you guys can have your input on what we, as a whole. Esports is still new. I've been in esports for 4 or 5 years now. I think it's 5-6 years now. And, it's grown fantastically, but it's not like a traditional sport. There are many, many games, and each game has its own set of rules, governing bodies, etc., etc. So getting everything right or to a standard is quite hard. But I think that common sense standard is not impossible to obtain. And I think everybody from general manager of organizations to investors to players should strive for a basic level of looking after and of business, a basic level of common knowledge and generosity in how we do things. We shouldn't be looking to take advantage of people. I'm telling you right now, as an org, somebody who's worked in the orgs at high levels with big budgets, you cannot, if you're an org owner out there or an aspiring esports org and you're thinking, great, I'm going to pick up a team, they're going to get promoted to a pro league and investors are going to come knocking at my door. That's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. So you shouldn't be if you're going into starting an esports organization with little to no funding, you're not going to be able to do it. I know this firsthand. I've built teams. I'm building this one right now. It's not cheap. It's not something you can do on a couple of $100,000. It's not something you can do on $500,000 if you're going to do it properly, which is what you should be striving to do. You shouldn't be giving these players promises that you can't fulfill. You shouldn't be getting people's hopes up just to have them dashed. We see this happen over and over again. Esports is not. You're not going to make incredible amounts of profit in a short amount of time in esports. You can't start a brand, one team has a modicum of success, and then all of a sudden you're going to turn over millions of dollars a year. That's not going to happen. Like I said, it's an investment. It's a brand. Most of the big sports teams in the world, they spend money hand over fist, but it's the brand worth and the brand recognition that brings in more capital raise, more capital drive. So if you are an esports org out there that can't afford to pay their players, cannot, even to the basic levels of comfort, I would say stop, because it's not fair on the players and it's not fair on the people involved in esports as a general, the families of the players, the people who have to, watch these players go through hardships. I would like to see, and not just that, it's detrimental for the scene. you're coming in here. There's some orgs out there, that have followings and bad dealings and have bad reputations, and it ruins their reputation and they're done. And you can't, you'll ruin if you do care about esports, you shouldn't be trying to do it on a shoestring. You cannot do it on a shoestring. I just said that when I came to this job here. I was like, there's no way. If we're doing it, the players have a living salary. We provide housing, travel, food for them when they're on at LAN events and at tournaments. I strive, and Susquehanna Esports and everyone of my staff strive to make these players' experience as excellent as possible. And I think if you ask any of the people who work for me, I would be very disappointed if anybody had a bad word to say about me or my or the company here or the team. Because we go above and beyond to make this an experience that's enjoyable. And I think if you're not doing that as an esports org, then you're in the wrong business. This is predominantly young esports athletes and players who, don't have the life experience, who don't have the, knowledge of what they're signing and what they're getting themselves into. And they get excited when they see an org with a couple, tens of thousands of followers, or, anything that they can say, well, I'm a professional video gamer. And if you're an org that's doing that, then please stop, because it's not fair. And if you're a player, don't sign with somebody just to say you signed. I don't know how many players have come to me and asked me if I should sign this, if I should sign that. And I will help anybody, but you've got to look at it yourself. If you are signing something just to be a part of something and yet you're getting nothing from it, why are you doing it? Why? Why would you join an org for zero money just to tag a name to you? Why would you take less money than what you think you're worth just to be part of an org? I understand, and this is the hard part of it. People have real lives. People have real lives, and they need, money doesn't grow on trees. We have bills to pay. We have to feed ourselves. We have to keep a roof over our head. And esports is tough because there's a lot of orgs out there that don't pay. But to jump in bed with one just who promised this and promised that is not always the way that you should do, always the way forward. Being patient sometimes pays dividends. Getting advice. I'll tell you right now, I will leave my email in the link of this video. If anybody has any questions or any worries, please, you reach out to me. I will do my best to help you. I mean, there's many players who have already, and I'm a man of my word. I will help you if I can. And I'll give you the advice that, that you so sorely need. But yeah, don't sell yourself short. I know this is a dream for many of you. And it's a difficult dream to accomplish. There's only so many opportunities out there, but jumping at every opportunity isn't always the answer. And that's it. I mean, and that's all I can ever say is going back to the org thing. This is these kids' dreams. This is what they want to do. This is why they play the game. This is why they strive to be great at something. Don't take advantage of that. It's not fair. And don't hold people ransom. If you are the owner of a spot and these kids, you can't afford to pay these kids, and you're saying, well, you either accept this amount or we'll find somebody who will. I'm sorry, but that makes you one of the worst. If you can't afford to, if you've made promises to these kids that if they make a pro league or if they achieve something that you can provide to them, and then you can't or you won't, then get out of the scene, because it's not fair on them, and you're holding these players ransom and stopping them from getting other investment from teams that may want to sign them, may even be able to offer them something. That being said, right now, I also believe the leagues and the governing bodies of these esports should look after these players. It should. The rules are the rules. I know, especially with org owner spots. I get it. As an org owner, I want to own the spot of my team, but I know that I'm going to be held accountable for that team, and I care more about my reputation than anything. So I'm not going to ruin that reputation and tarnish that reputation by promising something I cannot deliver. If I understand that the rules are there, but for the governing bodies and the people who run these tournaments, please do it by a case-by-case basis. Because it's not fair. Every case is different. You don't know if these orgs have promised players the world and then gone, well, you've made it now and it's our spot, so you either accept this or we'll find, there's plenty of other children out, or I shouldn't say children, plenty of other players out there who will take it up. So these players are like, well, what's my options now? Go back, wipe the last 6 to 12 months worth of, process to go back to square one? Is that fair on them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it should be on a case-by-case basis, and players should be able to state the case to the league, to the governing body, whatever it may be, and a decision be made. And if that's what it takes to make it fair, I think that's what it. I mean, if my players were to come around to me and say, I was ever in that, God forbid, I was ever in that situation, I would gladly go forward with that process, because I know that whatever I promise my players, I will give to them, and I will give them the best experience that they can. And if you're not doing that, and if you're holding people to ransom and deadlines and saying, you've only got 10 days left of your renegotiation period of your contract, you either accept this amount of money or you're done, then get out of esports, because you don't belong here. And the government, and again, the companies that run these, you need to get rid of these orgs as well, because they're just going to fester away, taking advantage of people when they shouldn't. I'm not going to name anything until I've done more research. If anyone would like to come forward and speak about anything they've done, or any, what is the word I'm looking for here? Any experience bad experience they might have had, please come forward and speak to me. We'll address it. But the last thing I want to go for is, in a localized, what affects us is I'd much rather see more strict rules on stipends. That's the last thing I want to talk about. If you're in, say, a competition right now, and the only reason you can continue to do that is by taking a stipend that's supposed to be used for player housing, then again, get out of esports, because it's not right. Who's going to provide these players their PCs? I'll tell you right now, that 20,000 stipend, if you're giving these players a place to live, providing them internet and PCs to practice out of, from the lodgings that you're providing, 20,000 doesn't even scrape the surface. If you want these players to have a good experience and be able to practice to the best of their ability, 20,000 doesn't even touch the surface. So if you're saying, I'm going to use this stipend to pay the players, again, release them, or pay, if you haven't got the money to pay them, don't keep them, because it's not fair on them. Let them go actively find teams that can pay them. And that, again, governing bodies, vet orgs. Don't let orgs join a professional league if they don't have the money to compete. Like, how can anybody be a professional if they can't earn a living wage? It's not possible. Ask to see balance books. I will gladly show you mine. And any org, that pays their players and runs a tight ship and wants to do well in this scene, will show you theirs, because they've got nothing to hide. So please, I don't want to rant on too long here, but players, keep your well-being in mind. Orgs, if you're mistreating players and you don't have the funds and you think this magical unicorn's going to turn up with bags of money, it's not. Esports is a expensive, time-consuming, passion-driven sport, and it's in its infancy right now. And you have to be willing to go the distance and invest a lot of time and money to make it a success. It's not going to be an overnight sensation. So anyway, I'll end it there. If anyone, again, my email is below the podcast. We will talk about more of this when the podcast, Esports After Dark, comes out, and once we've finished setting up. Right now, we're still waiting for things to come. We'll have live guests. And we'll try and do it at least every 2 weeks. So, emails in the description. If you've had any bad experiences or you need any help, please email me. I will do my best to respond to everybody, or get my team to reach out to you, and I'll set up a bit of my time if I can to give you any bit of advice. Those of you who have already reached out to me, I am working on it. I'm doing my best for you. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day. look, no money came out of that either. So if you don't have any, don't get into esports.